So now that you understand the meaning of had better and the structure of had better, your level of understanding should have risen. Now we're going to look at some things you need to note. Just some other things about the structure that are important to know. So let's look at the first thing that we should note. Had better is usually contracted in spoken English to I'd better, you'd better, she'd better, etc. So contracted means to make shorter. So instead of saying I had better go to the doctor, we contract I and had to become I'd. I'd better go to the doctor. Or I can say, you had better go to the doctor. Usually in spoken English, this will be contracted to you'd better go to the doctor. So we contract the subject and had, especially when it's a pronoun like I, he, she. But we can also use it for names. So if I say, imagine my friend John or Anthony. Let's say Anthony, which is my name. If I say Anthony had better visit his parents because he hasn't seen them for a long time. Anthony had better visit his parents. I can say Anthony'd better. Can you hear that? Anthony'd better. So I'm contracting Anthony and had to become Anthony'd. Anthony'd better visit his parents. So we can even contract names. This is quite common, especially in spoken English. Let's look at the second thing to note. As I mentioned in the first lecture, had better is similar to should, but not exactly the same. Use had better for saying, this is a good thing to do now. And use should to say, this is a good thing to do in general. So look at these two example sentences. It's going to rain soon. We had better take an umbrella. So this is a good thing to do right now in this particular situation. It's happening in this moment. But look at the second example. When it rains, you should always take an umbrella. Now this is not talking about a particular situation right now. This means it's a good thing to do in general. You should always do it whenever it happens. You see? So the first example is a particular situation. The second one is a general thing. Let's look at the third thing that we have to note. Had better is always used to talk about the present or the future. So look at these two examples. Come on, we'd better go now, or else we'll be late. So this is talking about the present. You can see the word now. So we'd better go now. This means in the present, we should go. We should go in this moment. The second example is talking about the future. We haven't seen my parents for months. We'd better visit them tomorrow. So the time word tomorrow indicates it's talking about the future. So this is an important thing to note because had better, even though had is a past tense verb on its own. Had is the past tense of have. But had better is not the past tense at all. It never talks about the past. It's always talking about the present or the future. So don't get confused by the verb had. It's actually nothing to do with the past. Always present or future. Now let's look at the last thing that you have to note. We often use or else, or otherwise to say what will happen if we don't follow the advice. So look at this example. You had better stop eating junk food every day, or you will get fat. You can also say, or else you will get fat, or otherwise you will get fat. So they're trying to say, if you don't follow my advice, this will happen. So this is a really important thing to note, because using these words can extend your sentences when using had better. So use or else, or otherwise to say what would happen if you don't follow this advice. Let me give you one more example just to make everything clear. Imagine there's a new movie coming out next week, and I say to my friend, we'd better book a ticket early. Otherwise, we won't get a seat. You see? So the bad thing that might happen is we won't get a seat. So I used otherwise. I could also use or else. So we'd better book a ticket early, or else we won't get a seat. The meaning is the same. So use these words to extend your sentences when using had better.